Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to Of Dice and Third Baseman and another edition of the 1919 National League Game of the Week. Today is the 28th of June, 1919. A warming Saturday afternoon in Brooklyn, New York, where the Brooklyn Robins will play host to the Philadelphia Phillies. The Robins are currently in third place, part of a small pack attempting to chase down the league-leading Cincinnati Reds. The Reds have gotten hot the last couple of weeks to put a tiny bit of breathing space between them and the chasing pack. The Phillies, however, not so much. They've been not only bad, but historically bad. They're currently averaging about 3 more runs per game allowed than they're scoring. While the offense is creditable with some pop in the middle of the lineup, both the pitching and the defense are absolutely horrendous. And they'll try to right the ship a little bit this afternoon here at Ebbets Field in Brooklyn. The starting lineups for today look like this. The Phillies will send out Leo Callahan in left field, Harry Pierce at second, Iris Musial in center. The league home run leader Gavy Kravitz will bat cleanup and play right. Fred Luderis is at first, Doug Baird is at third. And the bottom three are Ed Sicking at short, Hick Cady behind the plate, and 27-year-old lefty Eppa Rixey on the mound today for the Phillies. Eppa will be the subject of this afternoon's Deadball portrait feature during the 7th inning stretch. The Robins will counter with Ivy Olson at shortstop, Jimmy Johnston at second, Tommy Griffith in right. Zach Wheat will bat cleanup and play left. Hy Myers is in center, Ed Konecny at first. Chuck Ward will play third and bat seventh. Otto Miller is behind the plate. And pitching for Brooklyn this afternoon will be 27-year-old right-hander Leon Cador. Cador has been fantastic in the early part of the season. He's in the top 10 in the league in both earned run average and whip as he heads into today's start. It looks like the pregame festivities are just about complete here at Ebbets Field. So why don't we head down to the field and get today's game started. Leo Callahan will step in and he'll face Cador. And the first pitch of the game is a 6.59. And that's a bouncer back to the mound. Cador has it, and he throws to first for the out. One away to Pierce. 3.39, that's a swing and a miss. 2 away, and Irish Musial at the plate. 3.79, and Irish laces that one into right field. For the first hit of the game, 5 on the auto manager die, and he's a 7 steal, so he'll attempt a jump. He's a steal 7 against a hold 3. We get the 6, so he's going, and he's a speed 3 against a catcher's armor 4, so he needs 11 to steal the base. We get 19, so he steals, and the 2 10-sided die are both higher than catcher Otto Miller's fielding of a 6, so that's a stolen base and a throwing error. So Musial will go all the way to third, and the Phillies have a runner 90 feet away with 2 away, and perhaps the most dangerous hitter in the league, Gavy Kravitz at the plate. Cador looks in at the imposing Kravitz and makes the pitch. 3.85, and Kravitz grounds that one up the middle into center field for a base hit, and the Phillies take an early lead. Kravitz is a speed 5, and the catcher's arm is a 4, so the auto manager says he'll try to get the jump. Though he's only a steal 0, so he'll need a 13 or better, and he can't go. And that'll bring up Fred Luderis. 5.68. That's hit to Olson at shortstop, and he will not come up with it cleanly. So an error on the Brooklyn shortstop. And the Phillies have 2 men on and 2 out here in the top of the first for Doug Baird. That's a 6-13. And that'll be popped up on the infield. Jimmy Johnston takes a couple of steps back onto the outfield grass, and he will make the catch for the out that retires the side. But the Phillies get a run on 2 hits. And we go to the bottom of the first with Eppa Rixey already protecting a 1-run lead. Ivy Olson will lead it off for Brooklyn. 131. That's a 331. And Olson will pop that up near first base. It's drifting into foul ground. Luderus is there and he makes the catch for the first out. Jimmy Johnson will stand in. 168. And he looks at ball 4 from Rixey. Johnson is a speed 3 and hit Katie behind the plate. For Philadelphia is an arm 3. So Johnston will try to get the jump. His 8 in steal 4 is 12, which doesn't beat Rixey's hold, so nothing doing. And Griffith will stand in. 485 against a lefty, and that's skied to center. And Musial will put that away for the second out. And Johnston will try again to get the jump. He needs a 9. Nothing doing. This Rixey holds him close at first. And Wheat will get a crack with a runner at first and 2 away. 423 against a lefty. And Wheat singles to center. And Johnston will hold up at second. And a bit of 2-out rally here for Brooklyn. That'll bring up High Myers. 628 at home is a 638. And that's bounced on the ground to second. Pierce fields it, underhands it to Sicking as he crosses the bag at short for the force. And that'll retire Brooklyn in the bottom of the first. So they put 2 on, but they don't score. And we go to the second with the Phillies up by the score of 1-0. The pitch to Sicking is a 330. And that's a fly ball out to right. Tommy Griffith is there, and he'll make the catch, 1 away. Brings up the catcher, Hick Katie. 486 against a righty, and that's a can of corn to left. Wheat's there, and 2 quick outs for the Phillies. And that'll bring up Rixey. 689. And the pitcher lines that one over the infield and into right field for a base hit. So the Phils get a man aboard with 2 outs. And Callahan will get a chance. 249 against a lefty. And that's a grounder to second. Johnston over to first, and down go the Phils in the second. Bottom of 2, and the Robins first baseman Kenichi will lead it off. He's at 292 on the season. 528. And Katie lets that one get by him to the backstop, but no harm. Rixey deals again. 461 against a lefty, and Kenichi lines that one down the line in left field. It'll roll into the corner before Callahan can get it, and Kenichi is into second with his 10th double of the season. So the Robins get the leadoff man into the scoring position, and that'll bring up third baseman Chuck Ward. 418 against a lefty, and that's dribble out in front of the mound. The catcher Katie springs out to get it, throws down to first for the out, but Kenichi moves up to third. And there's 1 away for Otto Miller. Second inning, the infield will play back. 292 against a righty, and Miller hits that one hard to left field. 7 plus his power is 7 to left. And that's a base hit. So an RBI single for Otto Miller. And Brooklyn ties the game at 1 apiece. 1 out, and Miller at first. Cador will swing away. 447, he's an I3. And that'll be popped up in the infield. Luderus is there, and he'll make the catch. 2 away. The Miller is a speed 2 at first, and Katie is an arm 3, and the score is tied. So he'll get a chance to get a jump. He is a steal 2 against a hold 3. There's the 11 we need, so Miller's going to go. He is a speed 2 against an arm 3, so he needs an 11 to steal second. And a 12, and he's in there. So the Brooklyn catcher steals a base and gets himself into scoring position for Ivy Olson. 142, and he hits it in the air to Kravitz and right. The Phillies outfielder pounds the glove and puts it away for the out that retires the side here in the bottom of the second. That'll take us to the third, and Harry Pierce will lead it off for the Phillies. 6-0-1. That's a hard grounder to second. Fielded by Johnston over to first for the first out of the inning. And here's Irish Musial. 340. Irish hits that one on the ground as well, this time at Olson. He flings it over to first, and there's 2 outs on 2 ground balls for Cador. And Kravitz will stand in. He singled and knocked in the Phillies' run in the first. 679. And another base hit for Kravitz as he rips that one into right field for a single. Once again, Kravitz will get a chance to try for the jump. He's a steal 0 against a hold 3, so we need 13. There we go, 14. And he's a speed 5 against an arm 4, so he needs a 9 to steal. And he is gunned down by Otto Miller. So Kravitz is caught stealing for the third out of the inning. We go to the bottom of the third in a 1-1 game. The pitch to Johnston is a 108. That's a 308. And Rixey gets him looking at the bender over the outside corner for the first out. Griffith, a 687 at home, is a 697. And that's going to be trouble. It gets over Musial's head in center field. It goes all the way to the wall. And Griffith will steam into third base with a triple. So that puts Griffith at third, 1 out. Wheat at the plate. Infield will play back. 522 to Katie, and that's ball 4. Now Katie, not much of a defensive catcher at this point in his career. It hurts the Phils there as it puts runners on the corners and 1 out. And they'll play back for the double play, and Myers will step in. 694 at home. That's a 704. That's going to be deep to center. He is power 3. And 2 more is 5 to center. And that's a bloop hit. That'll score a run. And send Wheat to second. So Brooklyn takes the lead 2-1. They still have runners at first and second with 1 out, and Kenichi at the plate. 590, that'll be a fly ball to right. That'll be no problem for Kravitz. And there's 2 away. And Chuck Ward, who dribbled one to the catcher his first time up. 118, that's a 318, struck him out looking. So Rixey strikes out 2 in the inning, but he does give up the go-ahead run. And we're through 3 here at Ebbets Field, and it's a 2-1 Brooklyn lead. Fred Luderis will lead off the 4th. 427 against a righty, and that's hit back to the box. Cador fields it, throws to first for the out. Baird a 361, and he grounds that one to Olson at shortstop. No problem for the Robins defender, and it's over to first for the second out. And Ed Sicking, 496 against a righty, and he hits that one into shallow center. Myers comes running in, but he's there, and he waves off the infielders and makes the catch that makes it a 1-2-3 inning for Cador in the 4th. Otto Miller will lead it off for Brooklyn in the bottom of the inning. 358. That's a 3-hopper down to third. Baird is up with it and over to first for 1 out. And Cador stands in, batting .226 on the season, 163. And that's a walk. So Rixey a little bit too careful with his counterpart. And Cador reaches base for Olson. 373. And Olson hits that hard, but he hits it right at Baird at third, over to second for 1, on to first for the double play that ends the inning and puts the Robins out of business in the bottom of the 4th. Still a 1-1 game as Philadelphia comes up in the 5th, and Katie will lead it off. 213 against a righty, and that's ball 4. First walk of the game for Cador. That'll bring up Rixey, and he will drop down a bunt. 7 in his bunt, plus 3 is a 10. That's not going to be great. And he pops the bunt up to the catcher. And that's 1 away, and the runner doesn't advance. That'll bring up Callahan. 167. And he lines a base hit into center. So 2 on and 1 out for the Phils. And here's Pierce. He struck out and grounded to second. 195, and Pierce is going to bloop one over the infield and into center field for a base hit. And that'll load the bases for the heart of the Phillies order, and Cador is in some trouble here. So Irish Musial at the plate, bases loaded, 1 out. They'll play the infield back. 566. That's hit down to Olson at shortstop, and he can't reach it, and it goes into left field for a base hit. So the auto manager says, with 1 out, chance that Callahan will try to score from second. The die, auto manager die, 2 is less than his speed, 3, so he's going to challenge High Myers' arm in the center. It's a 3 challenging a 6. He needs a 13, and he gets it. So it's a 2-run single for Musial. Katie scores, Callahan scores. Pierce will move up to second. The Phillies have a 3-2 lead, and they still have runners at first and second with 1 out for Gabby Kravitz. 190, and that's another bloop hit. Kravitz dumps that one into shallow left field to load the bases again. 8th hit of the day for the Phillies. As we mentioned in the pregame, they can swing the bats a little bit. It's the rest of the sport that's been a challenge for them. And that'll bring up Luderus with the bases loaded and 1 out. Well, infield is still back. Pitch to Luderus is a 6.46. And that's a grounder to third. And they'll get the force at second. But another run of score for Philadelphia to make it 4-2. Musial will move up to third, and Luderus will take first. And there's men at the corners with 2 outs and Baird at the plate. 194, and again off the fists and into center field for an RBI hit for Luderus. Sorry, for Baird. Musial scores. Luderus will go all the way around to third. It's 5-2 Phillies. And as a result of the getting blown up rule, Cador is now vulnerable to fatigue. So Sicking at the plate, he's skied out twice. 130, and he taps this one back to the mound. And Cador will underhand it to first and finally get out of the inning. But the Phillies score 4 times. They've touched him for 9 hits in 5 innings against one of the better pitchers in the league. And Philadelphia takes a 5-2 lead into the bottom of the 5th. So a fair bit of work to do for Brooklyn here. But with the Phillies, no lead is safe. 366. That's a bounce hitter short. And Sicking will throw it over to Luderus at first, and there's 1 away. 200, that's a 400 to Griffith, and he taps that one out in front of the plate. Katie again pounces on it and throws to first, and there's 2 away. And Zach Wheat stands in. He's singled and walked. 259 against a lefty, and that's a ground ball rolled down to first base. Fred Luderus has it, and he'll step on the bag in a 1-2-3 shutdown inning for Rixey. And Philadelphia takes the 5-2 lead into the top of the 6th. Bring up Katie, who's flied out and walked. 382, and he'll fly out again. This time the ball goes to left field where Zach Wheat is waiting for the first out. And Rixey will stand in. He's singled and popped to the catcher. That's a 391. He's a contact one. That's a swing and a miss. Second strikeout of the day for Leon Cador. And the Phillies will turn it over to the top of the order. And Leo Callahan, he's a 1 for 3 with a single his last time up. That's a 621. And Callahan pops that one up in the infield. Brooklyn shortstop Ivy Olsen is over towards second base to make the catch. And the Phillies go quickly in the 6th. As Cador recovers a bit. And High Myers will lead it off for Brooklyn in the bottom of the inning. 421 against a lefty, and that's a soft line drive to third. No problem for Baird. 1 away. And Ed Kenichi will stand in. Ed's doubled and flied to right. That's a 492 against a lefty. And the Brooklyn first baseman hits that one in the air to center field. Iris Musial a couple of steps to his right to make the catch, and there's 2 outs. And that'll bring up Chuck Ward, who's tapped to the catcher and struck out looking. 455 against a lefty. And that's another little tapper. This one reaches the mound. Rixey has it. Flings it over to first. And Brooklyn goes quietly in the bottom of the 6th. We go to the top of the 7th, and Harry Pierce for Philadelphia, still holding a 5-2 lead. 118 is a 318, and Pierce looks at a called third strike. brings up Musial, who's 2 for 3. He's got 2 RBIs, a stolen base on 2 singles. Great day for the Philly center fielders, currently hitting .310 on the season. 256 against a righty. That's a 566. That's hit to Olsen at shortstop, and he's not going to get it. And it's into left field for another base hit from Musial. It's third of the game. And with the lead, speed 3 against a catcher's armor 4 is enough to go for the jump. He's a steal 7 against a hold 3. And not only can't he go, but both die are below Kador's pickoff rating of 3. So Kador throws over to first. He beats Musial, who sprints for second. The throw down to second, and he is picked off and caught stealing. So that's 2 outs for Philadelphia, and Kravitz at the plate. Gavi is 3 for 3. 3 singles and an RBI, now hitting .354 on the season. 144, and not this time. Kador gets him. Another comebacker. The Brooklyn pitcher over to first. And that's the final out of the inning. Philadelphia fails to score in the top of the 7th. And we go to the 7th inning stretch with the score Phillies 5, Robins 2. We'll be back right after this. In this week's Deadball portrait feature, we're going to meet Philadelphia Phillies starting pitcher Eppa Rixey. Eppa Rixey is perhaps the least well-remembered member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, despite winning 266 games during his career. That's still a top 10 all-time total amongst left-handers, and in fact it held the very top spot on that list until Warren Spahn surpassed him 25 years after the end of his career. Rixey stood apart from his peers in many ways, first as a highly educated gentleman in a rough-and-tumble era of the game, but also as a finesse pitcher hidden within a 6'5", 210-pound frame. Rixey was born into Virginia gentility, his father a banker who was originally descended from Italian immigrants. The fourth of 6 children, Eppa graduated from the University of Virginia in 1912 with a degree in chemistry while lettering in both baseball and basketball. He would later return there to earn 2 master's degrees during the off-season, and he also taught high school Latin in Charlottesville during the winters as well. Current National League umpire Cy Rigler was working part-time on the athletic staff at UVA and serving at the same time as a scout for the Phillies, an arrangement that was soon outlawed, and he recommended to Rixey that he consider a big league career. The big left-hander, initially uninterested and with designs on a career as a chemist, eventually relented and reported to the Phils after graduation to begin his ball-playing career. Pitching for very poor clubs in Philadelphia, he showed some promise in his early years, winning 10 games in 1912 and again in 1915 with better-than-average ERAs, despite taking the loss in the final game of the 1915 World Series against the Red Sox. In 1916, it all seemed to come together as he won 22 games, pitched nearly 300 innings, and finished third in the National League in earned run average. He pitched quite well again in 1917, although he suffered from poor support and led the league with 21 losses, despite an ERA well below the league average. He spent the 1918 season serving in Europe with the Chemical Warfare Service, and then returned to a Phillies franchise whose short mid-1910s resurgence was well and truly over. Their return to their usual place at the bottom of the National League standings pulled Rixey down as well, and he had 2 poor seasons in a row in what should have been his prime, losing 34 games and showing little of the dominance that had marked his final 3 seasons before the war. He needed a change, and the Phillies traded him to Cincinnati before the 1921 season in exchange for World Series champions Greasy Neal and Jimmy Ring, and the change of scenery and his reunion with former Phils manager Pat Moran proved to be exactly what was required to restore the pitcher he had once promised to become. His first 5 seasons in Cincinnati were spectacular, as he won 100 games for the Reds in nearly 1,500 innings of work, with an ERA that was 30% better than the league average. In 1921, he allowed only a single home run in over 300 innings of work, ironically to Clyde Barnhart of the Pirates, who hit only 3 that entire season. And in 1922, he led the National League with 25 victories while tossing 27 consecutive scoreless innings in July and August. He remained a very good pitcher into his late 30s, winning 21 games in 1925 at age 34 and leading the league in games started at age 37 while winning 19 more times. Finally, at age 38, time began to show as he suffered 3 consecutive poor seasons and his workload gradually diminished. But even at the ages of 41 and 42, he was capable of finessing his way to success against major league hitters, posting an ERA below 3 despite striking out only 24 batters in more than 200 innings. He decided to retire prior to the 1934 season, claiming that the manager wasn't giving him enough work, and he finished his 21-year career with 266 wins and 251 losses, still the most ever by a left-handed pitcher, in nearly 4,500 innings. After retirement, he worked for his father-in-law's insurance company, which still exists today more than a century after its founding, and with his characteristic wit and humility, he remarked after Spahn had surpassed his win total in 1959 that he was glad that someone had broken the record because it reminded everyone that he had actually set it in the first place. He was elected to the Hall of Fame by the Veterans Committee in 1963, but tragically passed away between his election and his induction. Not before, however, he had had the opportunity to joke that, "I guess they really are scraping the bottom of the barrel now, aren't they?" As always, let us know in the comments below if there are particular players from the 1919 National League that you'd like to see be featured in a future Deadball portrait. Welcome back to the ballpark, folks. We're in the bottom of the 7th here at Ebbets Field. The Robins come to the plate. The 8, 9, and 1 hitters as they attempt to chip away at the 3-run Philadelphia lead. Rixey delivers to Miller, 355, and that's a sharp ground ball to third base. But there'll be no problems there for Doug Baird. Tosses it over to first, and there's 1 away, and that'll bring up Kador. And I think we will pinch hit here. Not been a great day for the Brooklyn right-hander. He's given up 10 hits in 7 innings. And Brooklyn will send Lou Malone up to pinch hit. And Rixey looks in at the pinch hitter. And he delivers. 170, and that's ball 4. So 4th walk of the day for the Phillies lefty. Malone does his job to get on base. And we'll get to the top of the order and Ivy Olson. Ivy's 0 for 3 today. He's popped to first, flied to right, and hit into a 5-4-3 double play. The pitch from Rixey is a 405. And Olson hits it hard on the ground again to shortstop. And this will be another twin killing. 6-4-3. Second GIDP of the day for the Robins leadoff hitter. And maybe it's one of those kinds of days at Ebbets Field. That'll retire Brooklyn in the bottom of the 7th. We go to the 8th. It's a 5-2 game in favor of the Phillies. And Brooklyn needs a new pitcher. And coming in to hopefully get through the last couple of innings will be Burley Grimes. Grimes this season has a record of 4-5 with a 3.00 earned run average. This will be his second relief appearance of the year, and he also has 9 starts. And he'll face Phillies first baseman Fred Luteris to lead it off. Fred is 0 for 3 with a run batted in, and he's reached on an error. 273 against a lefty. That's a 533. Kenichi is a range 5 at first base, so he will field it cleanly and take it to the bag himself. There's one away. Doug Baird is 1 for 3 with a run knocked in. 160. And he draws a walk from Grimes. And Sicking at the plate, 0 for 3 today. 440 against a righty. And that's hit on 2 hops back at Grimes. He watches Baird scoot to second and throws to first for the out. And there's 2 away and a runner at second for Katie, who's 0 for 2 with a walk. 442 against a righty, and Katie rips that one down the line in left field, and Wheat won't reach it until Katie has reached second and Baird has scored. 6-2 Philadelphia on an RBI double by the Phillies catcher. And Rixey will stand in 1 for 3 on the day. 641. And it's a ground ball to third base. Chuck Ward has it, and he throws to first to retire the side, but it's a batter too late as the Phillies tack on another run, and they'll take a 6-2 lead into the bottom of the 8th inning. And forgot to do that. Eppa Rixey is vulnerable to fatigue, and he'll face the 2-3-4 hitters here in the bottom of the 8th. 388 for Johnston, and he singles into right field. So a leadoff hit for Brooklyn. And that'll bring Griffith to the plate. He's 1 for 3 with a triple. 121. That's a 321. And Griffith hits that in the air to center field. Irish Musial is there. He'll make the catch for the first out. Zach Wheat is 1 for 2 today. And he's rolls a 391. And that's a can of corn to left. Callahan is there, and there's 2 away. And Hy Myers. 470 against a lefty, and Myers rips that one over Callahan's head in left field and all the way to the wall. Johnston's going to round third, come all the way home, and Myers is into third with his 4th triple of the year. It's a run for Brooklyn, so they get the run back that Philadelphia scored in the top of the 8th, and it's 6-3. And what looks like potentially an important run, sitting at third with 2 outs, and Ed Kenichi at the plate. Ed doubled his first time up and has since flied out twice. It's a 524 to Katie, and that's ball 4. Can't frame it. And there'll be runners at the corners now for Ward. Rixey looking to get out of the jam here. 263 against a righty. That's a 563. Ed Sicking is a range 3, so he just gets a glove on that one up the middle, and he throws to first for the out that retires the side. So Brooklyn gets 1 to cut it back to a 3-run deficit, but they leave a golden opportunity on the pond, and we go to the 9th, a 6-3 game in favor of the visiting Phillies, and Callahan will lead it off at the top of the order. Leo's 1 for 4 today. 271 against a lefty. That's a 541. That's a grounder to second that will give Johnston no trouble, and there's one away. Pierce stands in. He's 1 for 4. That's a 634. And that's hit on the ground to second. Again, Johnston is there. Again, he fields it cleanly. And again, he throws to first for the out. There's 2 away for Philadelphia in the top of the 9th. That brings up Iris Musial 3 for 4 on the afternoon. 318. Musial taps that one down the third baseline. Ward charges and tries to barehand it, but he can't make the play. And it's an infield single, the 4th hit of the day from Musial. And the Phillies have a man on for Gabby Kravitz. 396, and that's what happens. Kravitz launches that one deep to left field. All we can do is stand and admire it. It's into the stands for Kravitz's 11th home run of the year. And the Phillies might just have put that one out of the reach. Kravitz's 2-run home run makes it an 8-3 game in favor of Philadelphia. And fans start to file out of Ebbets Field. I'll bring up Luderis, who's 0 for 4. 387, and he singles to right. Fourteenth hit of the afternoon for Philadelphia. And here's Baird. 171, that's ball 4. So it's Brooklyn this afternoon that are having trouble getting outs. And Sicking stands in at 0 for 4. 566, and again, that one's going to be just out of Olson's reach and goes into left field for a base hit. Luderis with a speed of 2 at second is going to challenge Wheat with an arm of 4 to come home. He needs 12. He gets 11, and he's out at the plate. So a single to left field by Sicking. Luderis is thrown out of the plate for the 3rd out of the inning. Philadelphia scores 2 more, and we go to the bottom of the 9th. Philadelphia 8, Brooklyn 3. And Rixey 3 outs from a complete game. And he'll start it off by facing Miller. He is 1 for 3 today, with a stolen base and a run batted in. 560, that's a routine ground ball to Sicking at short. Over to first for the out. That brings up the pitcher spot. Grimes is actually a pretty decent hitter. He hit 246 in real life. Down 5 runs, the Robins are going to let Grimes hit. 317 against a contact 5, and he goes down swinging. So 2 away. And that'll bring up the leadoff hitter, Ivy Olson. The last chance for Brooklyn. Ivy is 0 for 4 on the afternoon. And the last 2 times he's hit into double plays. Of course, he can't do that here. The pitch is a 130. That's a 330. And Olson pops that one up on the right side. It's into foul territory. But Luderis has plenty of room. And he's over there, and he makes the catch to retire the side. And the Phillies win the ball game here at Ebbets Field by a score of 8-3. The Phillies had 8 runs on 15 hits, and they made no errors. The Robins had 3 runs on 7 hits, and they made 2 errors. The winning pitcher was Eppa Rixey. He's 1-1 on the season with a complete game 7-hitter, although he did walk 5. The loser was Leon Cador. He is 6-5 on the season. Gave up 4 earned runs and 10 hits in 7 innings. The batting stars of the day were the guys you'd expect in the middle of the Phillies lineup. Iris Musial went 4 for 5, scored 3 times, knocked in 2, and Gabby Cravath went 4 for 5 with 3 runs batted in, including his league-leading 11th home run to power the Phillies in an 8-3 win that moves them to 13-38 on the season. So that's it from Ebbets Field, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And until the next time, we will see you later.